status. Sipke?
No status from my end.
Demos.
No demos, sorry.
What?
It's
2
busy.
weeks?
Yeah, I've actual work.
Is Simon here? Not either, because I've seen some changes on the theme.
Yeah, he's been working on the admin theme.
Changes. Anyone else? Asimos? Lombik?
Not this time, sorry.
You also have actual work?
Yeah, and a lot of holidays, unfortunately.
Okay, well. What else? Let's see. Let's see what happens. Oh, we have some maybe big PRs in the pipeline from lead. I see Europe being here. We have the NuGet thing. We have the. I want to check that the Gibbs one just to see what it is all about. What's the status of NuGet and this one? Just talk about this one. Good. Let's see. Okay, status, this one. Look at that, 18 days ago, 14 days, crazy. Okay, so we stopped 14 days ago. Was it the case or even before? No, that must be it, 14 days. Using display name to show validation message. Correct, yeah. It was maybe a pull request? No. Probably. Okay, layout, so fix the bug, fine. So moving the C# DLL to the lib folder.
You asked for it?
Yeah, because I didn't understand why it was not in the lib folder. And I must have put it there, but so if it still works, good. Or maybe because at a point it was an external module, and then we incorporated it. It's possible too. Media library picker field using also display name. This is the merge. Giving back classes to the shape. Layout. Okay. Remove duplicate logger assignation assignment. Assignation? How would you say in English? Assignment, right?
I think assignments, yeah.
I'm asking for an English speaking.
Assassination?
Assignment, yeah.
Thank you.
Assassination.
I understand because it's French and it's French, so it's just like, it looks like English, but it's not the English word.
I've never used that word.
Assignation or assignment?
Assignment is fine.
Okay, assignation, yeah, it's the French word, but it looks like English too, so that sometimes it works.
Assignation, I don't
like
think is an American
population,
word.
you see, population works in English and in French, so let's try assignation. Scene logger provider, okay. It's a merge. Improve class attribute logic. What is that? Same thing, it's related apparently. Okay, classes.any. one, find InfoSet enable enums as a branch.
That's a pull request as well.
Yeah, I assume we'll look at it on the pull request side. This was an open issue, I remember. Just a test. Display name with so that already. That's weird. We have 2 times the same thing. Oh, this is a. Okay, this is a branch. Let's not look at the branch. It's just copying things. Fix bugs on home alias service. Okay. What branch? Dev, because home alias is a dev branch. Activity toolbox fix filtering. Okay. Media picker. This is the this is for the new admin theme. My profile. Okay, but I just placeholders. Important. Merge per request, moving settings to top admin menu, same thing. With identity, content, metadata, virtual identity part, migration and changing affected code to use this. Okay, with identity. Yes, this must be from Lambic. So now we use.
Yeah, and this is all something you asked for.
Yep, it's not done. I'm still asking for the fields one. Okay. So next week we'll see another one for the fields.
Probably a week after.
Side menu. Okay. Oh, there is a side menu now. Okay, interesting. Okay, some work from Simon. Menu icons. Yeah, by the way, menu icons. I'm changing it. Oh, yeah, we could. Yeah, in Orchard 2, I'm changing the way the menus have their icons. You might remember or know that in the navigation provider there is something called image set. Something weird to build on top of the menu that will link to specific named CSS files and then grab the icons from there. That's kind of complex for what we want to do. What I did is just removed it in Orchard 2, and when you add a menu item, you can specify a class, and that's it. You specify a class to a menu item, and the class will be assigned to the menu item when it's rendered. And then in your theme, you can just define which icon for which menu item.
Well, that would work very good for this new admin theme since it's using font awesome.
But as I am explaining it, I find a flaw, which is we need to add some CSS file somewhere by convention. Okay, I'll look into that. But this was the same issue with image set. Then this is a pull request, notification styling. Okay, so notifications to the new theme. So it should start looking pretty good. I see he's working a lot on that. And also Sipke merging it. Okay, just a merge. Okay, good. He's not here still. I'd like to see an update maybe next week. We'll ping him, or Sipke might do a demo of that.
Yeah, he mentioned he would be working on it a lot the coming week. So, yeah.
Ooh, come on, people are talking. Let me know if there is some interesting discussion on the chat. We should raise the issue. Yeah, Antoine, you are still working on the read the docs? Is it something done and we should work on that now, and you have nothing to do anymore?
I have a few problems with some images and some
but doesn't appear on the Reader.docs site. I don't know why.
If you want to show something at some point, you already did, I know, or at least to me, and you want more help, you can, because I know some people are interested into helping for the documentation. I see Matthew here who wants to help. I know that Gustavo also wants to do something. So, yep.
Okay.
Good status. Questions on the status? I will try to find. I have them. I will try to assign a couple of days to work specifically on the dev branch to make it stable and ready to be released, because it's a very long process. It has been a very long process so far, so I'd like to finalize it. Find a couple of days. It should not take more than that. No questions, some topics then. Does anyone have any more topics to talk about?
Yeah, actually, there's two more topics. One being the work Chris did on the Glimpse support, and there seems to be a lot of complaints about the 192's website zip packets, where the dynamic forms module doesn't load.
I didn't see all these complaints. Where did you get them?
I'll send a link. There's a thread on Coplex.
This link.
Here it is.
192. Is it fixed in 19?
So it's not an issue with the source code. It's an issue with the packets.
Is it fixed in 19X?
Yes. In 19X. Well, there's if you download the 19. Actually, I'm not sure if they tried 19X.
Okay, so we just need to rebuild the precompiled zip file and update it. That's it.
Yeah, because it must have something to do with the project dependencies not being set correctly, which has been fixed in 19X.
Okay.
So yes. But I did ask if they saw the binaries of the dynamic forms module being there, and that person confirmed it. So I'm not entirely sure what the issue is. I thought it was just missing the binary when I tried it, but apparently not.
Is the issue existing on GitHub?
Good question. Let's see. I'll have a look.
Okay, and please assign me, tag it hi 19X or 193, and I will fix it.
Cool.
Okay, great. Issue and is fixed package. New websites. Yeah, this is something we did long time ago, sometimes just to announce a new website that we released. I found Petit Bateau. A French brand, French clothing brand that won't stop apparently. Well, for sure, but they didn't announce it. Not this one. And what's the?
US.
Thank you. Easier. Yeah, very nice. I was like, I found the link and I'm like, what? Who did that?
This was actually when I presented at Harvest, the whole Avalon concept, this was the first site that we did. This
Right.
was the one that went from wireframe to finished. I mean, they did some supplemental work on it, but it was about 10 days to build the site.
And it's great. 10 days. You can't ask for a very expensive amount of money, right? For 10 days.
I think we ended up charging them for it, but their previous site was terrible. It was like they hadn't touched it in 7 years. It was so awful.
And how do they decide to just have the US website and not the French website?
I don't know. We don't do the French website.
Maybe different companies? I don't know. Because it was
yeah.
the same.
Well, we do the fulfillment in the U.S. I think they do their own in France.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's who knows.
We'd like to show off with the family and friends in France. We can tell them, like, when I mean we, I mean Antoine, Bertrand, and myself would like to tell them. Still, first thing I did when I came back home, I'm like, hey, look at the website from Petit Bateau. Great, Orchard.
Yep.
And I bought some ski goggles this weekend, and I asked my wife to buy the Spyoptic ones because they had the Orchard website. I'm not sure they still have the Orchard website.
Nope, it's gone.
Okay, so
Gone.
we bought some Bole instead, and and we went to the theater, to MC Theaters. I always urge my wife to go to the MC Theaters just because they have their website on Orchard. So that's how we
Nice.
push Orchard. Good. Just mentioning for people if they want to
Yeah,
go
that
to
was
the
a
theater.
quick launch before the holiday.
Let us know when you're down new website. Another new website I found this morning, elan.com. Mortgage thing. It's on Orchard. That's it for this week. Oh, also we didn't talk about it. Show Orchard. They were down for like a few weeks, and then Ryan asked for websites for Show Orchard, and I answered, well, please first put showorchard.com back up instead of asking for more websites. And so he did with a new design, and now it's done again. Ah, crap. What? But he had a new theme that he deployed on Show Orchard. It looked nice with more websites, and I liked it. But it's done. Okay. Just mentioning it.
HTTP, not HTTPS.
Ooh. Oh. Okay. Yeah, this is the new one. Oh, with new websites. You see, it's beautiful. Office 365. Oh no, I clicked. Yeah, I didn't know about these ones. Interesting. Yeah, this one is the company behind and Service Bus, Udidan. Yep, one stop. Good. And yeah, one I may not have mentioned. Rock Cafe.
I don't know if this is an appropriate time to jump in regarding the gallery, but I noticed that in moving over to the new gallery, there are now numerous links that were previously in documentation that pointed to, say, an appropriate version that should be used and that are now dead links.
Can you find them on an issue on GitHub? GitHub.com or
Let's see. Yeah, I'll take a look and see if I can find one while you're chatting and post it.
Good. I'm not aware of this issue. I didn't see this bug either. Yeah, the sum doesn't match. It's weird. Maybe from the old system. I imported the data. I will check this one. Okay. Websites.
Seems like we would effectively need some kind of a mapping table and a URL redirector that just caught old module names and redirected it to the new page.
Okay, I'll check that. Okay. You mean just for the documentation? A specific kind of pages?
Well, I think what's happened is a lot of the people who had posted modules, even on the new site, might have posted a hyperlink within their documentation that said, look at this version for this reason, or go and get this other module as well. And so those links end up being bad links now.
Okay. I think that should be some routes. That should be easy. Not, a global one.
Right.
Okay. NuGet. What's the status of the NuGet PR? 2 many PRs. Status. Let's go back 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, 14 days. Done. Yes. What was it? I'll tweet about who wants to chime in and give feedback. Sounds good. Okay, Google NuGet package. Okay. It's not really, is it related? What's the issue here?
Git merge and let Sibka clean up the mess.
Okay. Rob, is the PR ready?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it is. Yeah.
I asked some questions under the issue and I don't remember getting the answers.
Which one?
Well, the issue that this pull request is for. It's also linked somewhere or maybe in the description.
Oh, it'll be at the top. I think I put it in, at the top of the PR. I've got a link.
What should I go to get? Oh, the issues here?
The link to the issue, yeah.
Have you tested deployment? Okay, we need to test the deployment.
Oh, I've totally missed that.
Also, it should be easy to test because deployment. No, yes, I mentioned the deployments here. Okay, finish the migration of the packages and test deployment strategies. I can be more specific, I think. Action, file system, and web. It works on web, it works on Azure. Just file system to see if when we do target the file system, it creates the correct.
Yeah, this is awesome and much needed.
Well, it works, but we need to ensure that the NuGet change doesn't break it because this already works. Build, precompiled. Be sure that it copies all the NuGet packages correctly. Restores them. That's the. Then also another. What about updates? If a library in Orchard changes, you, as a third-party module, you just get the update. If your module references it, no need to change anything.
Yeah, so for example, if your module references the nhibernate DLL and it's for nhibernate version 1, then the path to the reference in the CS proj will contain.
When you say if your module, you mean external from the Orchard distribution?
Yes, yes.
This doesn't change what we have today. We are just talking about the Orchard core distribution and what just happens to the Orchard core distribution. If you, as a module developer, want to use NuGet, then fine.
It does changes the development experience because currently, if you reference any library that's needed for Orchard, so anything in the lib folder, then those references will still work even if the DLLs themselves change because the path is the same. So if the library is compatible, then you don't have to do anything. On contrary to this, once we use NuGet, the passes will change because the version number changes and the version number is included in the passing in case of packages. So you will have to update your module even if it's totally compatible.
So this is if your module wants to reference one of the NuGet one of the DLLs that we have as NuGet packages. Okay.
Yes. And this won't be an issue for built-in modules, of course, because then NuGet will take care of updating
you
the
say
reference.
that every time the NuGet version changes, the location changes by default?
Yes, because all the packages are stored under packages / and the package name, where the folder name also contains the version number.
I don't see why that's a problem.
Sorry?
That's a new problem. That's a new concern. Yes, so that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a new one.
There is the issue is not a technical issue, it's a pain in the ass issue. It's like, yeah, if Orchard decides to change the NuGet version, if you add a module, even if the package is a minor version change, you will have to change the path of the reference. Ready?
Yes, this is not an issue at all. If you when you do the update, the module is actually there because then NuGet will automatically update those references too. But we are talking about the Orchard solution and third-party modules that are not part of the Orchard solution.
Then it means if you want to reference one of the libraries which are from NuGet, you need to reference them as NuGet packages.
Yes, that's right. You would bring the package into your own project yourself. You wouldn't reference the one that's part of Orchard Core.
Yep, you don't reference the DLL itself. You do a NuGet reference.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but in the end, it will actually point to the same DLL.
But
of course,
that will be automatic.
Yeah.
So that's
but this will need an update once a new Orchard version comes out.
Well, it's a breaking change. Going to NuGet is a breaking change for all module developers.
But no, so every time any library is updated, once we start using NuGet.
No, you don't. If the library is updated by Orchard, your module doesn't change anything. It's still using the same package with the same version range.
Yeah, it would still be pointing to its own local copy from its own NuGet source.
Yes, you don't change anything in your module. You still just say, I need ASP.NET MVC, whatever, 5.star, and when you rebuild, it will download the new package for you on your module.
So, if, for example, there is an Hibernate version 1 in Orchard, it will be changed to version 2 or whatever, and you added the NuGet package to your module with still version 1, then
if you specify version 1, then you will have to change it to version 2 because it's a breaking change. But
you'd have to do that anyway, surely.
I'm talking about non-breaking API changes, so you shouldn't do anything anyway, but the path itself would change.
Nope.
But this means that you'd actually have 2 DLLs in the packages folder?
You will have one, and you will have binding redirects to it will use the new one automatically. Well, if your package reference is open-ended, then you will reference the new one. You will not touch anything. If you want to force a specific version, then you will have a binding redirect.
The workflow is no different to how it currently is.
Yeah, and by default, NuGet does that. It creates the binding redirect for you if it finds out that it's a new version.
Yeah, I don't think still that we are talking about the same thing. So there is a line in the CSproj file that actually...
But this one is handled by NuGet. You don't touch it anymore. You just reference logic.
But this is handled by NuGet when you update the package and the module is there in the solution. But we are talking about a case where you update the package, you change the package, but the third-party module is not in the solution, of course.
It will be.
It would be brought down automatically.
Yes, it's called NuGet Restore, and it's automatic when you build, and it will update the reference.
Are you asking about if you try to download the package on an already deployed solution?
And in this case, it will be the binding redirect, which will do the trick. So the project will point to a non-existing DLL, but the binding redirect will tell it to download to use the latest available DLL on the bin folder.
Yeah, so as I asked earlier, we will end up with actually 2 DLLs in the packages folder, and the new one will be used because of the binding redirect.
Same issue as today. You might have
different. 2015 has a consolidate NuGet package version option, which is actually really nice that developers would be able to use. So that every single. Sorry.
What does it do?
It gives you, so like if I have Entity Framework in one project and like version 6 and then Entity Framework 6.1.2 or 6.1.3 in another one, it'll show me the different versions or the version in each project, and I can say upgrade all of these to 6.1.3.
Yeah, so I presume this is something you would need to do after each library change as a module developer.
Yeah. Unless that can be scripted somehow. I don't know. Maybe it can. Where when you open a solution or a new update, it checks and automatically consolidates.
Zoltan, the easiest way to prove the issue is to prove the issue.
Yeah,
so I'd suggest
I will try it out.
Yeah, I'd suggest I will write it on the discussion. I suggest you take a look at the PR, the branch, and you try to update one of the libraries with a new version just to see what happens with the module.
Okay, I will try.
So pending validations and validations. Is it there? No. Glimpse. Has anyone tried it? I didn't understand this comment from Hermes. So this is a PR saying that it includes these inspectors, authorization, cache, content manager layers. It's beautiful shapes. We can remove shape tracing or deprecate it, not remove it.
No, not quite yet.
What?
Hello. I was keeping a low profile.
Yeah.
If we go to, there's actually 2 pull requests. If you go to the other pull, yeah, that one. So this one adds decorator, and if you scroll further down, we've actually had a conversation about that issue that was raised.
See that? Okay.
Starting from here, I think. So what was being suggested was to use the interceptor pattern instead of decorator.
This one, okay.
Yeah, but I think my issue with that is it's a bit too generic, and it's not strongly typed. So the main issue would be if there was a breaking change to the interface signature you wouldn't notice until runtime.
Also, but yeah, I personally don't have any issue with your implementation, so I don't know. Did you agree with something that you are?
Yeah, we came to an agreement.
That
the both patterns are for different use cases, and in the case of Glimpse, iDecorate is the best one to use.
Okay, good. So yeah, so that's why I'm saying this one I don't really understand, because I think it's what you did was correct.
Yeah, that was written before we had that
Oh,
kind
okay,
of conversation.
okay. So we are good on that. So I like people to try it out, just to have an idea. I will also try it, but yeah, okay, that's great. Maybe I should share it with the Glimpse guys, let them know, because they are using their new version. But that's great. Should we make it as a 1.10 effort or later?
Merge it into the 1.10 release.
Yes. Should it be
I
part of
like it as 1.10.
Who thinks it should not be part of 1.10?
Are we doing a 1.9.3 or 2?
Yes, we'll do a 1.9.3.
Yeah. So yeah, 1.10 sounds good.
To be honest, the reason why I did 2 separate pull requests is because the other bit of work is arguably the more risky of the 2.
Yeah, at the same time, it should not impact existing applications. So if you're not using the decorators, it should not break anything, right? So,
it actually touches Shell Container Factory.
okay,
so
I have to look into that. Okay.
Yeah, so I've tested it quite intensively, and I've added unit tests. I've actually added extra test coverage as well to stuff that I haven't changed. I'm quite happy with it, but it's quite a risky area, I think.
Shell Container Factory. Look at it. It's touching it, but it's just checking if there is a decorator, and then so that should not be
yeah, there's a slight refactor. Kind of pulls some logic out into private methods further down.
My only concern if there is nothing using iDecorator, like if I don't enable your module, then it should not change anything. If it doesn't change anything in terms of runtime behavior, then that's fine.
Well, obviously this method has changed, but if you don't enable any decorators, then it behaves as before.
You see, if the decorator list is empty, where does it go? Oh, it jumps over this code and this is the same as before. Good. That's the idea. You see.
It's not exactly the same. There's a couple of subtle differences. One is that it names the registrations. And it also registers them as itself.
I see. Okay. There are more changes. Okay.
Sounds like it's adding an awful lot of registrations. Is there any performance difference?
It adds the same amount of registrations. So if you don't have any decorators, it will register the same amount of services as before. And for every decorator you have, it only adds one more registration, which is that decorator.
Okay, that sounds interesting. All right, cool.
Okay. Demos. Questions before demos? My demo works this time. Last time it didn't work. Just because I commented the class live. So I will show you what I didn't show you last week, which was, well, last time, which was the admin menu and admin theme and configurable admin theme. And also what I did in the meantime, which is working on the shape caching and the dynamic cache. Well, how do I call that? Let's see. Can't remember. So running Orchard, so setup, starting the home page. A page. This page here is just showing a form to create a content item and then redirecting to the display of the content item. Okay, this is the page. There is no data access. There is a theme, though you can see it, and the theme is using Bootstrap 3.3. Okay. There is a menu in the theme. This is the view just contains, so the view itself, like in Orchard 1, it's important to show this thing. The view itself, this is the demo home for index. The view itself, like in Orchard 1, just renders the content, which is here the Jumbotron and the form, and in the end this is what has been defined, and the rest is from the layout being taken by the theme. So the theme is injected like in Orchard 1 using the setting, and this setting can be seen and updated using the module name, the module's name named orchard.themes, exactly like in Orchard 1, and right now it just contains one controller, which is an admin controller, which provides an index to list the themes and a post to update the themes. Okay, and when I say themes, it's because now there is so if I go to themes module home index, admin index, this page, it's asking for the front-end theme name and the back-end theme name. So this was missing from Orchard 1, so we could not change what theme to use in the back-end. It was hard-coded, vAdmin. Now, right now, it's a setting like this on the site content item, which contains the settings. So this, you see, also is a different theme. The name and also the look and feel is different. This one, if I look at the source code, is from a local vAdmin min.js, which itself is Bootstrap 4, which is handled in a resource module as an asset in Bootstrap 4, and in the admin theme asset, plus a local asset for this theme that will be combined to output this file. This is the one which is used. This way, you can be based on some SCSS files and also add more things to it. Here, custom variables, whatever. But it's just to prove the fact that we have the assets pipeline working using Gulp, and it works. That's it. This was just a proof of concept. So now this thing is based on Bootstrap 4. So far, it was just a proof of concept, just this way. So we have the theme, we have the admin as available themes, and we also have a safe mode. So if I just try to change the admin theme to safe mode, and how do we do that? If we see that we are in the admin section because the controller is named admin, then the selector for the theme takes over the front-end theme selector and defines the admin as a theme. So if I just say now, no, I want safe mode to be the admin theme, and I submit, then this page is rendered using the safe mode theme. Okay, and apparently the safe mode theme doesn't have the correct zone to render the admin menu because it's not rendered. So if I go back to the admin, enter, it's very fast because there is nothing, but it still works and fast. And then we have the menu rendered, and this menu is rendered using the iNavigation provider that targets the admin menu, which is in the core module. I might have shown it already. Where is the core module here? Core module, navigation. No, I don't remember where it is. Admin. Oh, this is based on each module. Okay, correct. So in this case, there must be, yes, this class which implements iNavigation provider. And when it builds the navigation, it says, oh, are you building for the admin menu? Yes, then add themes and add installed. Okay, things are okay. That's how the menu is built in Orchard 2, exactly like in Orchard 1, but simpler. So it works. Now, what I wanted to, so we have admin theme, we have menu, and because in the admin layout, where is the layout here? We have, you see it's Bootstrap 4, container fluid, raw, render section async, which is the MVC call navigation. And we have a filter which will inject the menu in the admin for navigation zone in the admin. For the front end, it will be based on a widget and any custom zone. For the admin, we know we want a navigation zone, so we force it here. But it's standard layout, render body here, Bootstrap, beautiful. As a reminder, there is no more document shape. The layout contains the document shape, so that should be okay. Then I worked on the shape cache, and I made the framework and some demos. I talked about the implementation last week. It has changed a little, and some more. Yes, last week we just had shape cache. Now I have Russian doll caches. So the ID, let me show you the demo. If I go to any module, I created here an action which is called cache, which just renders a view, which is this view. Okay, so this view is using all the cache API. The cache API, well, the shape cache API is at the shape level. Okay, and it's different than the output cache API, which will be a different module. But this one, shape metadata, has a property named, a method named cache, that if you call it with a name, will mark the shape to be cached. And then you can add metadata about the caching. You can add duration if you want absolute time, and you will see you can add also context. So the demo here, let me show you the page first to understand. Cache. So this page will render some time where it has been rendered, the page itself. Okay, so you will see it's changing every time I hit F5. I will click so you can see. Every time I hit F5, this time changes. Okay, because it's rendered every time. But then we have this block and this block, which are exactly the same. The goal was to render 2 times the same thing in the same page, just to be sure that they are always the same because they are cached. And this thing is a hierarchy of 3 different shapes. The shape named outer doll, inner doll, and lower doll. Okay, and there are 3 different shapes with 3 different cache settings, and they are contained one in the other. Meaning, when I say here, when you render the view cache, create a new shape called outer doll. Okay, set the cache metadata for outer doll ID for 5 seconds. So and then render the view time and display the shape. So it will display this shape with the cache metadata to 5 seconds. And then render it again, the same shape, okay, with the same cache metadata. The goal is that the second rendering won't call render. It will always render the same thing as this one, which has been cached. Okay? So these 2 blocks will always be the same. So we will just focus on the first one, for instance. Then if I look at the rest of the page, we have widget 1 and widget 2. They are the same shape type, sorry, new widget, but 2 different instances, which is not the same case here. You want to comment? I could hear something that looked like you. So the first widget has a title property, okay, which is rendered here, and the metadata is defined on the shape instance, which is cache widget 1, the context of for the context user, and the second one is for the context query foo. The context is the dimension of the data for this shape. The dimension being the list, with the dimension, every value of the dimension will have a different cache value. So in this case, for every user, there will be a different cached value. So if I come back as user 1, I will see always the data for user 1. And if user 2 comes in, then there will be a new value just for user 2. Okay. In this case, we had context for query foo, meaning there will be a different cached value every time the foo key of the query string will be different. Okay, so you have a dependency on that. And this is ready to store things. So in this case, because I'm always the same user, this shape, so the rendering of the widget is just rendering a GUID, okay, just to see if there is a new value or not, and the query string, just to see, because it can vary by query string. So in this case, they both have different GUIDs, they are different shapes, and every time I hit F5, they have the same value, okay, because they are cached. Well, each of these values are cached. There are two values. But if I go on foo something, this one has a different value. This one is the same. It doesn't vary by query. It varies by user. So this one here and the other page without foo is the same with 360, 360. But this value here will change. You see B77, refresh, 052, because there is a different foo key.
You need to make me more. Or anything too of the system. Like, I'm just having batch circuit. You know what I mean? Like,
we mute Mike for a second. Yeah, so that's how you define cache context. Okay, and it works for every shape, so that's fine. Now in the Russian doll invalidation, so remember we have outer doll, which itself will render a new inner doll that has context on the query, query being anything in the query, not just a specific key, everything, during 10 seconds, and render a GUID, and then display the inner doll, which itself will be 15 seconds, render the time, and the lower doll, oh sorry, the inner doll is 10 seconds, the lower doll will be 15 seconds, and the lower doll is just rendering the time. Okay, so now we have 15, 10, and 5 seconds. So this one will be invalidated every 15 seconds, this one every 10 seconds, and this one every 5 seconds. Okay, so let's look at it. What's happening? So I refresh, they all have the same value. And the first one has been invalidated because it was 5 seconds, but the other ones haven't changed. So the master one has changed, but the inner ones, they haven't changed. So it reused the value of their cached shape when the outer one has been refreshed. This way, even if you have some widget which is very complex to compute, and if it doesn't change, but something in the page somewhere else changes, it won't impact this small widget with high value computation. So we can reuse that. And now if I refresh, everything will be refreshed because it's been more than 15 seconds. Boom, okay. And I keep refreshing. And I will refresh until 10 seconds. So the first one gets refreshed, 5 seconds. And then we'll hit the second one. And you see the second one, 24, has been refreshed. And it pop-ups to the container. So if an inner shape is refreshed, everything above it will also be refreshed, invalidated, because it might contain some logic to render the inner one, like adding some properties and so on. So it's bubbling the refresh events to all the parents which are cached, to all the parent shapes which are cached, okay? But doesn't impact the other ones, like the inner ones or the side ones, like the widgets, you see? They haven't changed. So if I continue, we'll see the widgets don't change. So all the three branches are independent one to each other, but they bubble up to the tree. So that's, I think, about it. Questions? There is something else, which is dependencies. It's the same thing technically, but it has an impact. So you can define a context query, and it's completely extensible. It's a provider model. And you can also add a dependency. A dependency will define what invalidates the state. Not how many values you can have, but what invalidates the states. For instance, you could say this one will be invalidated every time the features change. And this is a good example actually, because if I go to menu shapes, there is a menu shapes class and shape. There is a menu shape. Where is that? Ah, it's not there. Admin menu filter. Okay, the admin menu filter is responsible for injecting the admin menu in the navigation zone. Okay, so what it does, it looks at the admin attribute to see if the current page is the admin, and then if it's the case, it will create the menu, the shape. It will create a menu shape, okay, with the menu name admin, and for this shape, you see, it will inject the menu shape in the navigation zone, and this shape, it will assign the metadata to say it will depend on each holes. So every combination of holes will define another menu list, a menu item list, okay, a different menu value, and it depends on features, meaning every time the features changes, invalidate this thing, you need to rebuild it. In the end, so it's really two different semantic differences. This is how many values you can have and what is dependent on that, what will invalidate. In the end, it's affecting the same list of strings for in the implementation, but I wanted to separate the two concepts. What the different values are for and what invalidates things. It just will impact the ID of the cache key, both of them, but semantically they are different. And you see also that you can change the cache metadata using code, not just from your view you create the shape, but from any event you intercept when a shape is rendered or is created. You can say, oh, it's a menu, let me add some more context to this case, or check based on the shape property that you want to cache it differently from any module. So you can impact the caching of all the shapes from any module. It's just based on events. And this one just says by default the menu admin is cached based on user roles. Done. And you can also remove them. So you can have an event which will remove some cache context if you want. You just say remove context and the name. And there is an implicit notion of hierarchy in the context. There is a context called user, and there is one called user.roles. If you are based on users, then even when the roles change, you should invalidate that, or you should have different values. .roles means it's a sub-value of user, meaning it's more precise. But if there is a context which is user, it should take over. Just use user because it's more precise, it's more global than user.roles. So user plus user.roles is equivalent to just user. So in the implementations, there are checks like this. Let me show you an example. If I go to cache implementation, cache providers for the roles, so there is a to-do to move it to the roles module when we have a roles module, but we don't have. It just checks, oh, if among the context there is a user one, do nothing because user is better than us. But if there is no user one and there is user.roles, then create a cache key based on administrator. We don't have roles, so I just put administrator right now. Same thing for the features. If you depend on all features, then we'll create a hash describing the list of features, and then done. But you might also depend on a specific feature. It will be features : and the feature name, and then we'll use this one instead. Okay, so there is a notion of hierarchy for cache context too. And I have done user, routes, roles, query, and feature so far. I still need to add the notion of tags to invalidate based on content items, things like that. But it will be next topic. That's it. Questions? It is a lot. Yes. So it's a mix it's the best of two worlds, the Drupal world and the Rails world. So the invalidation is based on Rails logic, which is that it's key-based. The difference with Rails is that Rails, I think, is not as optimized as what Drupal does. But the idea of invalidation, it's all sliding invalidation. You never invalidate the shape cache. If you don't define a duration on your shape cache, it will be invalidated by default in 1 minute, let's say, but you will be able to configure it. The idea being, if you don't say a duration, it means, well, because we can invalidate it very easily based on all the factors that we know that will invalidate the cache, we can keep it as long as we want. And as long as it's used, we will refresh the cache. It means it's sliding in expiration. But if nothing is used, if this shape is never used, then we don't keep in cache. So the cache memory will invalidate it based on sliding expiration. Or you can define an absolute duration if you want 5 minutes. So this is what Rails does. And what Drupal does is what we used to do in Orchard 1, is using tags to be able to invalidate specific entries when something happened, like a content item has changed. We can proactively remove items from the cache entry. Okay, this is what Orchard 1 was doing and what Drupal is doing. And what we have with Orchard 2 is the two of them. We'll have cache. I still need to add the tags. Sorry, not cache, the tags. I still need to add the tags, but we had it in Orchard 1, and we'll have it also in Orchard 2. So it's, in my opinion, the best of Rails and Drupal. And you see, because of the reshandle, it's also you're also able to reuse every small shape across different pages. If it's the same user, for instance, you can cache almost everything in the page, but the user if you don't want. So it's very powerful. I think it will be very useful for authenticated requests, and the unauthenticated request will be very fast also using the output cache. And I'd like not to support explicitly authenticated request in output cache. I know we've added it in Orchard 1 because we didn't have shape caching, but now we have shape caching. I think we could completely forget about authenticated request caching, output caching in Orchard 2. I've said too much. Questions, comments?
Looks really good, dude.
That looks very cool.
And it's so the advantage of caching is that the response time is really constant. It takes time to compute all the values, but to get them from cache, but still it's very, very fast.
What provider were you using for caching? Is it just in memory?
So right now it's the iDistributed for the cache fragments, but I will abstract it to have a custom interface. The default implementation will use the default iDistributed cache from MVC, but we will be able, the idea being we have to be able to define different storage for every piece of caching that we use. For instance, we might want to store the output cache on the file system, and we might want to store these shape fragments on the memory or on Redis independently.
Absolutely. Just like we're doing with the database stuff as well.
Or in the database. Depending on your requirement, on your website, we want to change everything.
Completely provider-based, right?
Yeah, so today in MVC there are two interfaces. There is iMemory Cache, which is our iCache manager, and there is iDistributed Cache, which is our iCache service, okay, in Orchard 1. And like we did with Output Cache, we have a Output Cache storage provider, which can use iCache service if we want, but I will do the same thing. We'll have an iShape cache storage provider and an iOutput cache storage provider with the default implementation using the default MVC implementations. But this way we'll be able to switch independently all of them. Because today in MVC, if you have components using the iMemory cache, the day you change the implementation for iMemory cache, you change the implementation for all the services which were using iMemory cache, even if they have different goals. And I think that's an issue. I raised some bugs actually on the MVC repository for that, because they have a cache tag helper, which is a tag helper, a tag in MVC, that lets you cache some fragments. But they use, by default, iMemory cache, explicitly, which means if you have two nodes, it breaks everything. and there is no way to change that. So you can just remove all your tag helpers. I think that's a big issue. At least they should have another interface called iCache tag helper storage, something, or cache. This way you can use iMemory cache by default, good, but you can change it to something else, like distributed cache if you want. You are not stuck with iMemory cache. So this is what I want to do also. It's very easy, but it will provide some flexibility. But perf is good. Yeah. Okay, good. Too late already. Last questions? Gustav was, could we use tag helpers for shape? We can already use tag helpers for shape. Actually, I should do the demo with that. Yes, you can do something like cache, or let's say outer doll. Where is inner doll? Yes, you can render. You could say new lower doll. You can do something like lower doll, something like this. Same thing. And maybe I should add actually the cache thing directly like there. Context. Something like this. I will try that. Any other questions? Good. Triage on Thursday. Many PRs to review. Have a good week. See you next time. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So yeah.